Welcome back to Montreal Connected. The Formula One racing season begins this weekend with the Australian Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's the first of 19 races that span the globe.
Sebastian Vettel's driving for Red Bull, and he'll be going for his 5th consecutive World Driving Championship.
With more on the season, the drivers, and all the rule changes, here's our Sean Coleman with JC Cote.
JC Cote in the driver's seat for a season preview of Formula One. JC, let's start close to home. The Canadian Grand Prix will be held this year, but not confirmed yet for 2015. Where are we in terms of negotiations?
I think it's highly likely that Montreal will be back on the calendar for 2015, given that the New York, New Jersey promoters haven't exactly gotten their act together. Season starts this coming weekend, and there's a bunch of details that aren't finalized, and so I think that 2015 for sure. We'll know more by June, and maybe 4 or 5 more years after that.
Well, I'm sure all Montreal is pulling for this. In the off-season, a lot of talk about the changes to the cars, Formula One becoming more environmentally friendly. What's behind this big go green push for Formula One?
Right, big changes, 35% reduction in carbon footprint for the cars on track during race weekends. This is a commitment that was taken several years ago to reduce that carbon footprint. And one of the reasons behind that is the fact that sponsors who would like to be involved in Formula One would prefer to work with an organization that is obviously a bit greener than they were. So that's part of the reason for the change.
All right, you spoke about hybrid technology, spoke about the fuel limits. What impact's that going to have on the performance of the drivers? How's that going to affect race times?
Right, so the units have gone from V8s down to V6s that have 1.6 liter turbocharged engines that use a lot less fuel, so 50 kilograms less fuel per race for these cars. The overall top speed, we might see higher top speeds actually because of the way the DRS system works. They open the flaps at the back of the car a bit further than they did last year, and also the overall drag of the car has been reduced. However, you might get slower lap times overall, but higher top speeds down the straights. And obviously, as the season progresses, we'll see more changes, little changes to these rules that will allow for probably equal lap times to what we saw last year.
Okay, let's simplify that answer. Is it going to be more exciting or less exciting this year?
It's going to be more exciting because a lot of unknowns, cars sliding around, higher top speeds, heavier braking. It's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of teams have to figure out what their setups will be. Sebastian Vettel, 4 straight driver championships. Is this the time that a team could probably knock him off?
Yeah, it would appear that they've been having issues. 7 of the top 10 lap times during preseason testing have come from Mercedes-powered cars. So they're the favorite at the onset there for the season, but don't count anyone else out, especially not Red Bull and Adrian Newey.
All right, one name that caught my eye this offseason, Kevin Magnussen. He's only 21 years old. He's got the keys to drive for McLaren. Drawing already a lot of comparisons to Lewis Hamilton. Now that's quite the task. Could he be the surprise of this season?
He is going to be a surprise. I think he's come up through the same McLaren young driver system program that Hamilton came up through, and he's coming on board at a time when Mercedes and McLaren seem to have gotten their act back together. And he comes from a long line, not a long line, but his dad actually is a great driver who raced in many Le Mans series. So he has that education, he has that inside him, and I think he has that. He's won championships before, and he's done what he's needed to in the past to get to this place in Formula One, and that's great.
I know there's a lot of Ferrari fans in this city, and I have to ask you, they brought in a big name, Kimi Räikkönen, this offseason, a former world champion. They already have Alonso, and as a former driver, maybe you have a unique insight to this. How do you keep 2 drivers happy on the same team when at the end of the day, there's only one spot at the top of the podium?
Yeah, I think that the only way to keep them happy is to not play favorites, give them exactly the same equipment. And they're both professionals, they're both winners, they both have completely different attitudes and approaches to racing. And I think that actually might help them keep the peace, very different, they come at it from a different perspective. And I think so long as Ferrari rides that line and provides them with the same equipment, it's going to be great racing between them and tough for other teams to beat them.
All right, just hours away from the Australian race, can you give us a little bit of a preview of what to expect?
Sure, one of the things we're going to see a lot of is cars sliding around on the track. on this Melbourne circuit, which is going to be dirty, hasn't been used in a long time. Guys still getting used to the car, not a lot of preseason testing for some of these drivers, and a lot of breakdowns. So we're going to see a lot of failures, I think, in the first 3-4 races. Who knows who might win and who knows who's going to end up on the podium, because anything can happen with the turbos, with the braking, with the energy return system, and with the new aero. So we never know.
All right, JC, and a one-word answer here. Which driver will be at the top of the podium at year's end?
Lewis Hamilton.
There you have your pick, folks. JC Cote, F1 analyst. Thanks very much, JC.
Thank you very much.